Salute to you for joining me. I appreciate you here on Rasta's Realities, where the real is raw and the truth is the law. Sometimes people go throughout life only concerned only about their own lives, even when they have family and friends. This video isn't about them or even about myself, though it does involve me. This video is about the various times that I, Rasta, saved someone's life. I am not a healthcare specialist or anything like that, just the ordinary guy who seemed to be in the area to save multiple people's lives. The first time was in the mid to late 2000s, possibly the early 2000s, around the IDB Wells, on Browning to be exact. I was coming from White Castles on 35th, headed towards 39th Street. And I cannot recall who the guy was or what he was doing. I do recall him going down. Immediately, I shook him, calling out to him, and repeatedly asking,
"Hey, are you okay?"
Of course he wasn't, as he laid on the ground. I put my ear to his mouth to see if he was breathing. By this time, a small group of people gathered around inquiring as to what happened to him. I answered that I did not know, but told them what I did know, and that was he went down. I felt for a pulse and did not feel anything. He appeared to be what Chicago classifies as a dopehead. While I was getting myself ready to perform CPR, as it was taught at my high school, Hyde Park Career Academy, and Alexander Dumas, my elementary school, and as I was doing what I could to revive the man, I could hear the onlookers say,
"I wouldn't do that,"
in a repulsed tone. I assumed that someone had called the ambulance and kept trying to at least get the guy breathing. After a while, the ambulance arrived and I simply joined the onlookers for a while and walked on about my business. I could not tell you now how I felt then doing what I did. Only that I seemed to be the only one wanting the guy to be alright, or at least revived. Another time in the 2000s, I'm not sure as to the exact year, was on 56th and Bishop. At the time, I lived in the SRO, which stood for a single room occupancy building. A fire broke out in the building. I had just moved in, so I did not know anyone who was there. One morning, I smelled smoke and immediately came out of my room into the hallway and looked down the hall to see black and gray smoke billowing from the rear of the building. Now, I don't know why no one else did not smell the smoke, but I did. I called out loudly to anyone who was in the building that it was a fire while banging on their doors. I grabbed a few important items from my room and called the fire department. Ironically, it was the second fire that I had been in, with the last one so severe that I do not know how I survived, on top of the fact that I was on the 4th or 5th floor. But that's another video for another time, though I do believe that I spoke briefly about it in an earlier videos. Now, this last story was in more recent times at Wrigley Field, shortly after I was promoted to supervisor for the right field gate. I had did my normal duties of taking roll and placing my employees at their desired post. It was a sunny and warm day, as it was a day game. After surveying my areas and coming to the conclusion that everything was cool and my team and I were ready to rock. So I'm standing with them shooting the shit, and this older gentleman, an employee, who was a good guy, went from talking and laughing, ready to start processing the fans, to toppling over and on his way down. At which point I grabbed him to not allow him to hit the hard ground or the machines around us. I carried him while screaming for a wheelchair that was close to the gate for the customers with mobility issues. The other Cub staff called for our in-house emergency crew as I asked for water and ice from anyone who surrounded me. I got on my radio to alert my supervisor of the situation. He appeared to be the guy appeared to be lethargically going in and out of consciousness. I called out his name while checking his temperature. My superiors arrived to inquire what transpired. By this time, he came around enough to attempt to get up from the chair. I held him in place and asked, "What's wrong? And did he take meds or something?" He replied, "Yes." Then I asked him his name. He mumbled something incoherently, so I asked again. At this time, he attempted to look down at his name badge, of which I covered up to test his cognitive ability. By this time, the in-house EMS arrived as I ordered the rest of the employees to return to their post and to settle down. He ended up being okay eventually. I am not sure what or why he went down. All I know is I don't know what to call it, me being there at that moment to assist the brother man. Later, he returned to work in a different location, and when he saw me, he rushed up to me, hand out to thank me. I tried to get him to not thank me, as it was just part of what I was supposed to be doing, not only as a supervisor, but as a human being. But he insisted, shook my hand obsessively, and even grabbed me for a hug. He would not let me discount my actions, and he and I became good friends as a result. My supervisors also thanked me for the way that I handled things. I stated that to them as well, that this wasn't my first time that I saved someone's life, and it was part of my ordinary professional duties. Here's a bonus story where I didn't exactly save anyone, but again was right where I was supposed to be at the right time. This too was at Wrigley Field right field gate. My crew was processing the customers as they proceeded through the security machines, and as I watched from the rear, and this guy and his buddy came in from the outside to the concourse area, and one of the guys was in my peripheral as he passed me just a little bit, and from my peripheral I could see someone going down. so I reacted swiftly to grab him, only to stop his body from hitting the ground, but not his head, that instantly bled due to the blow. This time, my supervisor seen the whole thing as he let me know that he did and thanked me for my rapid response. The guy had been drinking heavily before entering, so that explains some of why he went down, with the fact that it was quite warm. I cannot explain why in all of these instances that I was there, but I was. Maybe in a previous life or something, I foreseen and unconsciously got into position, or maybe it was like I stated in my earlier videos of supernatural occurrences where I spoke about things unknowing. Those two videos will be linked in the description and the first comment in the comment section. Thank you for joining me here on Rasta's Reality. And now you see where the channel title comes from. Reality. And the reality that we share. Like, share, subscribe. Comment. Let's have a dialogue. Peace to you.